Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. First of all, thank you all for making the time to be here. You are joining the session because you're thinking about relocating to the UK. Some of you are exploring your options, and some of you have been disappointed by probably previous attempts. This call is now. Just there, probably just checking things out. Probably you're just from the launch circle. We'll get to that. Others simply just want clarity before making. And also, you can share this link just before we proceed. You can share this link with as much people you can copy. If you're on the platform, you can copy the link, share it on your status, share it with people, let them come and get clarity. We do this for free. I'll get to that shortly, right? So I'll be covering why the Global Talent Visa is one of the UK's most underutilized opportunities, right? I'll also be covering exactly the reason we're here, the academic and research fast-track route. I'll be covering how GoLoko Diaries obviously supports individuals, professionals like yourself, across various global talent pathways. And I'll also be covering how you can determine which route fits your profile. Then we'll also be having a session of questions and answers. For those meeting me for the very first time, my name is Denu Bon. Denu Bon for short. I'm the founder and CEO of GoLoko Diaries. At GoLoko Diaries, we help ambitious professionals strategically position themselves for global opportunities, particularly through the UK's Global Talent Visa pathway. And then our goal and our aim is to eventually help you lay hold of global mobility. This evening, time would fail me to go ahead to share some of our mindsets across global talents, global mobility, global positioning, global opportunities, and the likes of it. But for short, I want you to know that at GoLoko Diaries, we help ambitious professionals like yourself strategically position themselves for global opportunities. Over the years, we've worked with professionals across technology, academia, engineering, research, entrepreneurship, the creative industries, and emerging fields. And we don't just prepare applications. We help people understand who they are, where they fit, and how to present evidence of their impact, right? And then then also through the launch circle by GoLoko Diaries, I need to, intentionally talk about the launch circle because many of you probably joined from the launch circle platform and are wondering what is the launch circle about. So through the launch circle by GoLoko Diaries, we support people in building visibility, thought leadership, and career assets that strengthen both your migration goals as well as your long-term careers plan and your long-term careers, right? So the idea of the launch circle is that launch circle is more like the free version of all that we do, or the free consortium of all that we do at GoLoko Diaries. So every of our programs, webinars that are available to the public, or are available to the community can be accessed by the launch circle. And the primary goal and vision that we have at the launch circle by GoLoko Diaries is to make sure that you take your success on the flight. That is obviously a mantra, but by everything we anchor and we do via the launch circle, our goal is just to make sure that you are getting activated, you're flying, you're globally mobile, you're attracting global opportunities, and you're laying hold of them, right? So, now let's begin the session proper. We are on this masterclass today, titled "How to Get the Global Talent Visa." How to get the Global Talent Visa as a professional via the academic or research job route in 2026. So you can see it is quite open-ended, which means it is not restricted to anybody. As long as you're a professional that has an academic background, a plus is if you have a research background, this conversation is something that you should really consider. And then I'm willing to I'm happy to walk you through how the process really is going to work for you. But before we begin into the session proper, before I walk you through the entire scheme of the program, I would like to show and communicate some of the mental models that govern our work and some of the mental models that I live by. Number one, Jackpot is not a strategy. I want you to know that Jackpot is not a strategy. Many people say they want to Jackpot, but wanting to leave is not the same thing as having a strategy. People often migrate because they believe systems everywhere and they believe systems elsewhere work better. And often, maybe they do. But the difficult truth is that you cannot thrive in a functioning system if you have not prepared yourself to function within one. That's the truth. You cannot work in a system that functions well when you have not even had a career of working in a functioning one. So many people want to leave their own countries because they feel like, in their own country, my own country is Zion, by the way. So I may not be able to entirely with it, but that's just a general digression. But many people feel like their own country, is not working well. Is not working well, and because they feel so, they want to relocate to top economies in the world, like the top 10 economies. You hear them saying US, you hear them saying UK, you hear them saying, Brazil, the United States, Germany, China, and the likes of it. But the wonderful thing is that when you have not learned to work in a working system, you're most likely going to be setting yourself up for disaster. And it is very evident in the visa platform that people eventually get by the time they are relocating to these places. Because the first thing is that by Jackpot, as the mindset that they have, they just want to relocate, they eventually get themselves on visa platforms that do not give them the opportunity or the privilege to actually scale, to harness the opportunities they are looking to harness for in these clients. I've been on calls with people, in the United Kingdom, and this is not just even about the United Kingdom. I'm talking about all over, who, quote unquote, with many people from various home countries feel like they're having the best of life, and they were telling me that, they regret, being in the UK on this type of visa or being in this place at this type of time. And then this is, if Jackpot is the mindset that an individual is having, the individual will continue needing to relocate, move from one country to another, looking for greener pastures before they settle. It's just the same vicious cycle that people get into in life when life throws jabs at you and you are not able to learn the instruction or learn what life is trying to coach you on, and then you keep repeating classes. Right, so Jackpot can never and should not be considered a strategy. Systems reward preparation, systems reward competence, systems reward evidence, not just hope. The problem isn't that opportunities don't exist. The problem is that people pursue opportunities they haven't positioned themselves for. And when I'm saying positioning, is not something that is supposed to be high-end. I'm not necessarily talking of high-end, or you have to be at the peak of your career. That's not what I'm talking about at all. I'm just talking about positioning in the right sense of the word. Positioning is putting yourself out there for what should be yours, whether or not maybe let me just leave it at that. Positioning is putting yourself out there for what should be yours, creating a perception of who you are necessarily. So again, I've covered this a little bit. Desperation, the second mental model I'd like for you to hold before we proceed is desperation makes expensive decisions. When fear takes over, people begin chasing every visa route they hear about: student visa, care routes, agency promises, migration trends. They jump from one route to another. I already said this, without understanding why the route exists, which it was designed for, whether they actually qualify. And many end up in trap circles they regret. And then, yes, oh God, I've been meaning to say this, and I'm thanking God that I've been given the privilege to actually say this on this particular platform. Every visa solves a different problem. And then, because I am much more concerned with the UK market, why I'm concerned with it, probably in other sessions you get to know about that. The UK, visas to the UK, tagged whatever they are tagged, they solve various different problems. So a visa is not just a permission to enter a country, it is a policy tool. It is a policy tool. The UK creates visas because it has needs, right? The question isn't what visa can I get. The better question is what problem can you solve, all that and that. For example, now, a quick example. If you are entering into the UK on a student visa, it is a policy tool considering you as a student and then making sure that all the outcomes of your life is what a student in a university that is still being sponsored by parents or guardians should get. If you are if you're entering into the UK on the skilled worker visa, it is a policy tool saying that your access into the country, your permission to live, work, and be in the country is tied to your employer. And then if your employer decides to end their stuff with you or their work with you, it also means that you are saying that you should no longer be granted the right to be in the country. So the same thing is what we're necessarily talking about. So, however, this is the final mental model I would like to really emphasize on, and I will say it again. I always start my sessions with this particular line. There is a global talent visa for everyone, and that is you inclusive. Now, when people hear global talent, they imagine celebrities, Nobel Prize winners, or people who have built billion-dollar companies. Well, by the way, I pride myself that GoLoko Diaries is a billion-dollar company. Prophetically. So, but global talent isn't for, quote and unquote me, extraordinary people. It is for people who can demonstrate extraordinary impact relative to their field. People who can demonstrate extraordinary impact relative to their field. In fact, to break it down to layman terms, it is for people who have made, who are, okay, to break it down proper, like in local layman terms, it is for local champions to now transition their local impact for global recognition. In short, it is for people like academics, researchers, engineers, technologists, designers, writers, founders, healthcare innovators, scientists, policy experts, etc., etc. There is a global talent pathway for more people than most realize. The challenge is recognizing where you fit in. That's usually the challenge, and that is why, obviously, we are in business. That is why we are in business, especially in this route. That's why this is one of the reasons we're in business. So the global talent visa, what it is. So this is now the time where we now break down proper, what the global talent visa is. So the global talent visa, generally, you should already know by now, it allows leaders and emerging leaders to live and work in the United Kingdom. And even before I also proceed further into talking about the global talent visa, I want you to also understand why we are in the business of the global talent visa. I made mention earlier on that I said we support professionals like yourself position themselves strategically for global opportunities so that they can, especially via the global talent visa pathway. And then I said, and eventually so that they can lay hold on global mobility. So our strategic position in the global talent in the visa industry is not because we are like a visa company, quote and unquote, right? It is because we are interested in helping you lay hold of what is called global mobility. Mobility, where based on your work, and that is why our end-to-end support goes beyond just getting you the global talent visa or getting you a particular visa to be on. It is an holistic engineering to help you to be globally relevant, and then when your relevance is calling forth for your physical appearance, you are not globally immobile. By that, let me break it down. Like what I mean by globally immobile is that your passport or your passport, your passport deck. Let me say your passport deck, because you can have as many citizenship as possible, right? Your passport deck is not limiting the access you have to wherever your relevance is needed physically. If you are called to China, you are not needing to wait a 1-year cycle before you get approval based on the passport you are on to enter China. And then time will fail me to really capture how this works for across clients and markets. Currently, I'm streaming or broadcasting from Lagos, Nigeria, right? And then I know some people might have questions like, okay, and then I'll not address that question right now. Questions like, okay, are we saying it is better for people not to be citizens of Nigeria? No, 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 no. I'll just make a mention, I'll make mention of a particular thing. When we get more people to have global passports, when we get to have more people having citizenship of countries that are considered global and that whose passports are considered very globally stable, like the UK, and like what you have at the back end of the global talent visa, we get to improve the passport index of whatever home country you're from. It's also a strategic, not necessarily a direct way, but a very, very indirect way of improving the economic situation holistically of whatever home country you are coming from. So yes, our goal is to position you as an individual for global relevance and to attract global opportunities. Yes, with the global talent visa as like our initial pathway to really get that done for you. The other pathways to that was the global talent visa as the primary pathway, because the global talent visa is much more predictable than many of these other pathways that you have out there. And it is not just predictable, it is also much more controllable. Right, it's much more controlled and not just given to gamble. Anyway, so that's just a digression from what we are about today. So yes, some of the advantages of the global talent visa, but I believe you have gotten the point that we are not just in business because we want to get the global talent visa because we want to get back from the country or whatnot. No, 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 no. It's not just for you to relocate. In fact, when you're on the global talent visa, you are supposed to be able, and I will come to that, you're supposed to be able to live outside of the UK for as much as 6 months in a year. So the scope is not for you to move and then leave your past behind. No, no, that's not the scope. Or forget your homeland. No, no, that's not the reason we are in this, because we are interested in global mobility. And quote unquote, there are many home countries, especially, the Nigerian economy is currently considered like a developing economy. Trying to advance, right? And our passport index, the Nigerian passport index, is currently not strong in terms of international comparison on the global passport index. So it means that as a Nigerian right now, if you have an opportunity to go to, like, for example, Czech Republic, you're probably going to wait 6 months before your visa is approved. Or you'd have to go a lot of visa application cycles before you finally get approval, right? But when you at the back end of the global talent visa, which is one of the perks I'm going to highlight, when you secure a British passport, which means you have become a British citizen, which is one of the perks of the global talent visa, right? When you secure your passport, you are able to move to any country. Almost any country out of the about 200 countries, I'm able to move to about 140 something countries, almost 180 countries actually. 182 countries at little or no visa restrictions needed. A little or no need for visa at all. So that is what I'm talking about. When you can wake up and you're saying you're going to San Antonio, you are going to St. Trans, you are going to Pretoria, you are going to any country in the world, and off you go without visa restrictions. So that is what I consider global mobile and global mobility. Where, yes, obviously, in terms of the global sphere, your work is going forward globally, but you are able to move globally. So yes, I didn't know I was going to be able to handle that session, but thank God I was able to really talk about that right now. So some of the advantages of the global talent visa includes your no sponsorship requirement after endorsement, right? Once you don't need a certificate of sponsorship. You don't need a certificate of sponsorship from any employer. You don't need a proof of admission into any university. It's not tied to anything, right? No sponsorship requirement after endorsement. So usually you get it if you have won an eligible prize, If you win an eligible prize, you don't need to go via the endorsement route. But if you not won an eligible prize, and then an eligible prize is actually of the ranks of things like the Nobel Peace Prize, the Pulitzer Awards, Booker Prize, all those prizes, Academy Awards, and the likes of them, right? But for people who are not able to go via eligible prizes, the next route for you to consider is via endorsement. So endorsement is the one that I'm saying is much more controllable, right? So once you get endorsed by an endorsing body in the UK, managed by the UK government themselves, you don't need any sponsor from anybody. So, and one of the other perks includes freedom to change employers. So when you get started working employers easily, you can freedom to establish businesses, and you can even work multiple jobs, right? The ability to undertake multiple activities, faster settlement timelines depending on routes. And then that is in fact what is making tonight's this evening's session. It might be afternoon during the time we are watching this or whatever, but this particular session, that is what makes it the more interesting. So faster settlement timeline. So depending on routes, usually the global talent will give you about 3 to 5 years to settle permanently in the UK, right? And then obviously about 4 to 6 years to become a British citizen. If all how do they say this thing? All stuff being equal. All things being equal, yeah. All things being equal, 4 to 6 years, you become a British citizen, right? And which means you have the British passport. Then another, well, I'll get further into that to discuss that. So that's one of the perks, faster settlement timelines. Other timelines, in fact, the skilled worker currently is by, I think by 2026 is going to be increased to 10 years. No, sorry, by 2027, it's going to be increased to 10 years before you get settlement. So things are getting longer and longer, but the global talent remains the same. So flexibility unmatched by many other visas. Flexibility like being able to live outside of the UK for 6 months within a year, because practically the idea, the policy behind the global talent visa is that the UK is considering you and saying, okay, you are an asset to us. We want to offer you the UK as an avenue, as a platform for you to do your work and continue your work and advance your work in the field. Then we are giving you all this flexibility, for you to leverage. So you have the flexibility to travel outside of the UK and live outside of the UK for as much as 180 days in a single year. That's almost like you just going in and out. In my head, like the breakdown I have in my personal head is that, okay, people on the global talent should be able to do, you should be able to do like 3 days in the UK, 3 days in another place. So like you're just visiting and out of the UK weekly. Though I know definitely that outcomes are not going to be like exactly like that, but I'm just saying this is literally what it means. Half of your time in a year you can spend outside of the UK, and then there is no legal grounds for pay to say maybe you'll be sent out of the UK or then you'll not meet something. No. Then now today we want to focus particularly on one of the least discussed routes of the global talent visa, which is the academic and research job route. The academic and research job route under the academia and research route and field of the UK global talent visa. Now, let me do a recap. We've done some of this in other sessions. So the UK global talent visa, is broken down currently into 3 fields. Though they are bringing up another field called the design field. But currently we have the academia and research, more like routes. We also have second one, we have the art and culture routes and field routes. So professionals under art and culture. Then we have the third route, which is for digital technology professionals, right? So we have another route coming up very, very soon, design route. It's already on the works. As of, it was supposed to have been published, the guidance for that was supposed to have been published since like April, but I think it was rescheduled to like July. So by July, we're expecting the published guidance for design route. So, and design route to cover people like graphic designers across the board, because some of these routes are currently being mixed under art and culture and then digital technology. So they want to like do an express route to capture these particular professionals. However, Today, we are talking about the academia and research route. And under the academia and research route, we have four other routes. Four other routes. And this route includes the one we are talking about today, academia and research fast track sub route of the academia and research route, academic and research job fast track route. Then we have the individual fellowship fast track route. It's also a fast track route. They also have the endorsed funder fast track route. Then we have the peer review route. So the peer review route is not a fast track route, right? So today we are talking about the academic and research job route, which is a fast track route. So by fast track, what do we mean by fast track? Fast track means that in 3 years on the academic and research job fast track route, you are able to become a permanent resident of the UK if you meet the other requirements. And what are the other requirements? Primarily meeting the tax payments threshold. Primary requirements, meeting the tax requirement, and then also maybe your staycation period in the UK. Not that means you should not have spent more than 180 days or more than 6 months in a year outside of the UK. So more details of that will be shared in other sessions. So this route exists for individuals who have secured eligible academic or research appointments in approved UK institutions. This route exists for individuals who have secured eligible academic or research appointments in approved UK institutions. So and obviously it is one of the fastest endorsement pathways available for the global talent visa. So now, I'm this kind of person. I like to always cycle back to help you realize the trigger for whatever thing you want to do in life. Instead of just talking about something and talking about the perks, I'm like, what is the trigger for getting this thing done? So the trigger for being endorsed as an academic or researcher is having secured a job in an approved UK institution. Having secured a job in an approved academic, in an approved UK institution, having secured an eligible academic or research appointment in an approved UK institution. So question is, how do I secure, or what do I do? And first, let me start from that question. What do I do to become endorsed as an academic or as a researcher? Go and get a job. Go and get an academic or research job. So further do it. How do I get a job? There's a platform. Go and discover the eligible institutions. I can't obviously list them there, but I think there are about 1,001 institutions. There are 1,001 of them, approved UK institutions. I remember a story right here. So, because I have a vast professional network, right? I remember the story of a particular girl that I discovered was trying to raise funds for her studies. She got admitted into a particular university. I will save the name so that people do not connect who this person is in the sense. So she got admitted to study for a master's degree in a particular university of the UK, and she obviously she's a Nigerian, and she didn't have the money to proceed further. And then she took to her LinkedIn to call for. And a lot of people have done this in the last 1 year. So you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm telling you don't know what I'm talking about. He said only if the person definitely knows herself, right? Because I engaged the person personally, right? So, and so she was going to, she took to her LinkedIn to start campaigning for, and I'm not against this. for funding for masters. It's all is a, I'm not against the student visa. I just have like a bias towards it because I mean you're not able to make money like that on the student visa, especially if you're someone who is above 18. And then if God has blessed you now have a family, you are not able to make money. You're not able to make good money to really take care of your family, right? Because it's a student visa meant for students that are still being sponsored. So she was trying to raise money, and then I just went to that particular university's platform, and then I made, obviously I'm in the business of the global talent visa. I made my research. I realized that the institution was an approved UK institution, for the GTV purposes. Then I realized that in that same department where she got admitted into, there was an opening for a job that they need, quote unquote, quote and unquote me, someone with a PhD that literally was going to employ someone a caliber of qualification and was going to involve, and the particular appointment, that particular role was an eligible academic role. Then I sent it to her. Did I send it to her? I think I sent it to her because we don't hide things here. I'm interested in you going. In fact, I believe GoLoko Diaries have recorded more results from people who, opt on our free sessions like this and implemented on the recommendations we made than people who have paid us the money, because you would have to pay us. That's the criteria for us to work together, as outside of the fact and outside of whatever details of you being fit for our work or not, right? So you have to pay us for this. So we've had more results from people. In fact, we cannot count the results. It is only those that eventually comes back to say, oh, thank you so much, GoLoko Diaries, for the session that we can record. We've had more sessions from people implementing sessions like this that I'm anchoring to get results than from those who come to pay us for our services. And that for me is even fine. So the point is we don't hide information. So I shared it with her, Babami or my sister. I am not going to send 1,000 naira of my own money for your, all right. Because so my network, my system did something crazy just now. So I'm not going to send 1,000 naira or £1 out of my money to contribute to you, and you can call me very wicked. Yeah, I can. That's my choice. I have other priorities. So, but I see this role, and then this role, if you apply properly, it is not necessarily, it is an underserved, job advertisement, in the sense that not a lot of people know that it even exists in the first place, right? And they are willing to even hire an immigrant, and even so, in fact, aside the fact that the role is qualified for the GTV, they are willing to support with skilled worker visa, that particular role. I was like, okay. Whereas I know you want to advance your studies, you want to genuinely study, that's fine. I'm not against studying. But when you take this role, you'll be able to, the money you're looking to raise, it will pay for you. The amount you'll be making yearly, will circumvent your fees. Will circumvent your fees for being a student. And then with the visa back of it, you'll be able to work full-time with no restriction on how you can work while you're still studying full-time and still excelling in your studies. So I actually do not have a memory, and I'm not sure I remember the person's name to be able to even follow up to know if she proceeded. But I'm just trying to say that in that scenario, that people sometimes could have gotten student appointment or student admissions when they are even further qualified to go via the route of academic appointment and get them the global talent visa, and then that gives them the opportunity to leverage on all of these specs that I've listed. I'm not against the student visa. If you're under 18, get the student visa. If you're over 18, my perspective and my mindset is that work towards the global talent visa, especially if the location is part of your desires. And then day in, day out, as I remain in this business, I keep seeing more and more routes, more and more possibilities for people to get on board via this track. So now let's break down deep down further before I go into maybe the back end of, before I just visit the back end of how you get, this appointment. Let's break down deep down this what these appointments are and what they are supposed to be and how you should get them, right? So yes, we said academic or research appointment. So this academic or research appointment, they should be role involving academic leadership. So leadership, by leadership, simply just think of something that has you, contributing to curriculum design. Anything that has you contributing to curriculum design. So if I am very careful, I can say a lecturer one role in the UK, in any UK institution, is good to go. Most lecturer one roles, in fact, most lecturer two roles can get you this. Can get you this. So research leadership, but there are examples of this, and I'll get to that. So research leadership also. So leading, as you lead in a research project, get you the global talent visa via this route, via this fast track route. Any job that has you leading a research project, all right? Then innovation leadership. So it's still kind of research related, right? So anything that has to do with academic or research leadership, you're good to go. So examples, of eligible academic roles, they started, obviously the UK would always start from the highest, right? So we have vice chancellor, pro-vice chancellor, dean of faculty, associate dean of faculty, head of school, head of department, research institute director, and the likes of it. Examples of research-focused roles include research fellows, postdoctoral researchers, principal investigators, research scientists, who may not be necessarily postdoctoral researchers, and innovation specialists. So provided research is one of the main functions of the role, teaching alone is not sufficient. So yes, that is it. So now, this is now the caveat. The role that will get you the GTV via the endorsed funder route itself must require a PhD or an equivalent research experience. So by equivalent research experience, it means you might not necessarily have had a PhD. All right. So, and then a PhD. Okay, so yes, that's that about that. So then we have, like I said, I made mention that it has to be from an eligible institution. And then again, to further break that down, UK higher education institutions with degree awarding powers, all UK higher education institutions, all UK approved higher education institutions with degree awarding powers, they qualify, jobs, academic or research jobs in these institutions qualify. Approved independent research organizations also qualify. Then public sector research establishments like maybe NHS, yes. Research appointments in NHS having you lead research roles, qualifies. So examples include, I'll just list general examples. Examples include universities across the UK, the Alan Turing Institute, Genomics England, the Francis Crick Institute, CERN, Digital Catapult, the BBC, the Natural History Museum, NHS Trust. I talked about NHS even before I was reading my notes. Then you also have UK Space Agency, amongst many others. So what is required before I go into now how you get a job, and I'll still have another masterclass that it was supposed to be for last month, in the month of May 2026, but it was rescheduled because of some things. I'll still have a masterclass that details how to get a job in the UK, whether as an immigrant in the UK already, or as somebody who is trying to go into the UK. So it will work for all of these things, all of the GTV route, for example, it will work for this route that needs you getting a job, right? So it will work for this route. I'll still do a masterclass on that. But document required when you have gotten the job, right, is a detailed job description. And the job description must demonstrate that the role requires a PhD or equivalent research experience. Then a statement of guarantee from HR. This letter, that statement of guarantee must confirm that you accepted the offer, that the role is eligible for the global talent visa, that the role requires PhD level expertise, that the recruitment process involved open competition. At least 2 references were received, at least 3 experts participated in the interviews, and then at least a field expert was involved in assessing the appointment, and also that the role was published, that the role was publicly advertised. But publicly advertised, that is maybe on the university website or thereabouts. So the endorsement timeline. Once you submit, because it's a fast track route, you get your endorsement decision within 1 week. Remember what documentation you need. Other routes for endorsement, other normal route for endorsement requires, you need to have been recognized by this, you need to show proof of social impact, even including peer review, you need to show proof of academic contributions to the field, you need to show proof of contribution, technical contribution to the field, either via your job or via your business, and the likes of it. But this one, you just need job description, JD. The JD. Then, aside the JD, it also needs a letter from your HR to confirm the role. Viola, you are global talent. In our last time from that to endorsement, this was the route that our last guest from that to endorsement episode 8. This was the route it took. And because it was a fast track route, the man, he had been on the skilled worker visa for about 2 years, 6 months. Because this was the fast track route, he got the endorsement, and in just 1 month after getting the endorsement, after becoming a UK global talent, he just spent 1 month extra and then crossed to permanent residence of the United Kingdom. So he's currently a permanent resident of the United Kingdom. Yes, because obviously the time to become permanent resident, it accounts for the time you spent on the skilled worker visa or any other visa that gives you access to live in the UK. So it accounts for those times. So like that. So that is what we are. So endorsement timeline, endorsement decision within 1 week. Once you get endorsed like this, my bro, you are made. So then, why does this route matter? This route bypasses many of the restrictions people associate with migration. You secure the job because of your expertise, the visa simply follows. Now, how do you get a job, an academic or a research job in the UK? It's simple. The first thing you want to do, okay, I think I can share my screen here. So I'll be sharing my screen shortly. I want to show you something. Just that my screen is not going to look slightly updated. This is the platform it's public. Once you just go online and search for global talent, apply for the global talent visa as an academic or researcher, it will bring you here. Show you the link to comment. So, list of approved research institutions, just click here. This is how to get a job in this field. This is exactly how to get a job in this field. Okay, you have further details on how, and I've explained the further details right here. So this is where you're going. Institutions eligible. You can see this. You can see this. So all UK is HP, UK higher education institutions that can award degrees as defined by law. So it brings you here, then you have this list here. So in fact, you can even determine the particular county you want to go, whether you want to go and the particular what do they call this thing? Yeah, the particular land you want to go, whether you want to go to England or Northern Ireland or Scotland or Wales, you can decide. That's a beautiful thing. So now, if it is England, go to this place. So any school in England, any UK education, higher institute of education in England, you can see they're already listing. You can see A School of Architecture, you can see registered. So it means A School of Architecture, for example, if you're an architect, as an academic architect, and you want to get and you want to use the academic job route, just go here, A School of Architecture, and go to their school portal. Simple, simple, simple. All my life, I've always believed that people miss out on information and opportunities because they don't search for it. So go here, you have come to this portal. Can you see my screen? Oh, Jesus. This thing is supposed to be sharing screen as I'm moving. So I just realized that I've not been sharing the screen. Then you go here. Then you go to jobs. Exactly. You go to jobs. Academic jobs, you can see new tutors. They are looking for new tutors right now. Administrative job, that's not what you are looking for. Student assistantships, that's not what you are looking for. This is what exactly you're looking for. New tutors. Every year, Okay, this one. So apply. Apply. Go to apply. So it's even this one even wants you to submit proposals to apply. This one is open. As an architect who studied architecture, you're looking to navigate the global talent route, and maybe your evidence are not yet substantial enough to go over the art and culture route. This is the route for you. Come and submit your proposal to these people. Once you're done, again, the same thing. You go to England. We're talking England, right? You go here. They are not the institutions here. You go to their jobs portal. You see they are hiring for any role that has to do with leading research, leading academic leading academic roles, right? Apply for them. Once you apply for them, and then obviously you need to apply for them carefully. And that's why I said I'll still anchor that session concerning a masterclass on how to apply for jobs in the UK, because every single thing must be very, very well tailored. Every single thing must be very, very well tailored. Once you apply for the job, you are most likely going to be called for interview, especially if your background fits into what you're applying for. If your background fits into what you're applying for, you're most likely going to be called for interview. So what you want to do based on your profession, whether it's a BSc you have and you have done some work in the field. Okay, now I'm making reference to what our guest said from that endorsement episode 8. He literally said that he got in fact, whereas he had it, and I would recommend I think the video is made out. Once the video is out, I recommend that you go ahead and watch it. Obviously, by the time this video is up on YouTube, you can just click this particular link here to be redirected to From Doubt to Endorsement episode 8. He talked about how he got several positions within how he got to be in the academic stuff, the academic line, and how he built his profile for the academic line. But aside what he shared, I want you to know for real and for free that even if you've not had a background in academia before now, in lecturing or anything, but probably you have about 5 years of experience practicing in your field generally, you can be able to get a job as an academic, leading, an academic role in the United Kingdom. I literally know of someone, yes, that straight out of Germany got a role, qualified for the global talents in law. So this thing is just open to, it is just dependent on your ability to break down what you currently have, your current CV and the current experience that you have gathered, and align it to the most credible, most appropriate academic job or research job position that you can be able to handle or demonstrably handle, fitting into the global talent visa. And then again, the trigger for that. The trigger for that, I'll rephrase or I'll reiterate, is simple. A role, any role that requires you leading academic responsibilities. And by academic leadership responsibilities, I'm talking about simple as curriculum design, something, a role in an academic role, a lecturer appointment that requires you to design, curriculum, or requires you to supervise, people, supervise like researchers. That's like under research leadership in an accredited institution. You are good to go. And all you now need to confirm, obviously, some people, they used to do FEC after they have submitted their HR confirmation, their job. They also want to put supporting evidence because they feel like they can be rejected. But the truth is, as long as the role is a role qualified, and I've defined the qualification for you for that role, a role that requires you to lead a research project or lead an academic responsibility, is fitting for this stuff, where research or academic leadership is a primary function of your role. It is fitting for this. So once you have that role, you can go ahead, proceed and apply for jobs, and apply for as many jobs as possible. You see, when you are trying to get results like this, you make job application your job. Why? This route is easy, it's seamless, it doesn't cost you nothing. It just costs you maybe 1,000 naira data. That's if you're in Nigeria, or whatever that translates to in other clients in the world. It costs you maybe data access, and then just lights, and then probably 30 days of focused and concentrated work, tailoring what you have currently gathered in the field as a practicing professional to get an academic role or a research leadership role in the UK. Once you get this, you can come and go ahead to apply for endorsements via the academic or researcher routes, sub-routes of the academic and research routes to the UK. And this is a fast track route. In 3 years, you become a permanent resident of the UK, and then on your 4th year, you proceed to get your British passport. You become a British citizen, you get your British passport, and Viola, you're able to travel the world. And do you know the beautiful thing about even academic or research roles, that after you've gotten your visa, after you've gotten the endorsement and your visa, is that while you are doing the academic or research roles, you can, what we are expected based on, especially when you get it based on academic and research routes, you're only expected to spend 50% of your time in your academic or research role. 50% of your time. It means you have much more time of your work time. Actually, you have much more time. You can start a business, you can work another job, you can start multiple businesses. So all the other perks that are available to every other person in the global talent visa route, you also have them available to yourself. So you are not necessarily, whereas you are committed to your work at the school, at the institution, you are not necessarily tied to it. You are not necessarily, curtailed or constrained by it. So that is really how that works, right? That is really how that works. And I'm not, obviously, definitely you must be qualified. I'm not talking I don't believe I'm talking to somebody who is just straight out of the university right here, or who have not worked, who have not developed themselves professionally, right? And for someone like that, probably you need to just take our mentorship before and then start developing yourself professional. But as long as you have developed capacity to a level of an extent, I'm telling you that this stuff are open to you. They are open to you. You do not know what is obtainable until you go for it. And that is why I said, that is why I have committed myself to exposing these things to people so that they can see it, so that more people can adopt it, so that more people can go for it. So that by the time we are considering relocating, we are not going on a platform, because a lot of people are overwhelmed with the mindset. Oh God. A lot of people are currently overwhelmed with the mindset that, okay, maybe their Nigerian work experience or their Cameroonian work experience or their Brazilian work experience is not fit for the UK market. That is a lie. That is a lie. Simple research, 1 or 2, you have put things together and you are good to go. And this is a passion that obviously sponsors why I am so not liking the student visa route. So I just believe I'm communicating some sense to people today, and then you can see the possibility of this. If you're following, I'd like to know in the comment section, especially for those currently on Google Meet. Like I started with, I said there is a global talent visa for everyone. I'm revisiting that conversation. Like I said, I would. Perhaps you don't have publications, perhaps you're not in academia, and okay, perhaps you're not in technology. That doesn't mean the global talent isn't for you. The UK endorsing bodies recognizing excellence across digital technology, engineering, humanities, social sciences, medicine, art and culture, medicine and health. You don't necessarily need to be on the healthcare worker visa, because it can be limiting, especially when you can be positioned or when you qualify for the global talent visa. Arts and culture, research and innovation. The question isn't whether the pathway exists. The question is, have you identified your pathway? And that is why I keep having masterclass sessions. I keep bringing people who have gotten the UK Global Talent to show you how they got theirs, and then to give you a picture of possibility, especially to represent a picture in a particular field, in a particular kind of job, in a particular kind of professional endeavor, in a particular kind of professional career, showing you the pictures from there who have gotten them global talent. I've brought visual artists, I've brought, and I'll keep bringing more people, from different backgrounds. So the academic route is in fact there's one thing there's a particular service we have at GoLoko as well, where the KPI of the services gets the global talent visa without fail. And the mindset we have on this service is that you want to get to the global talent visa, whatever the cost. And by whatever the cost, this is what we engage. I'm already telling you our secrets. I'm not hiding it from you. Because yes, when you get results, you can come back and celebrate us, say that you got clarity from this session. That's why we're having this session, so that you can go and get the results yourself. So, and if you cannot get it yourself, you can see why you need to pay us to get it. I was in a discussion just earlier today about 2 hours earlier, and someone that one of my staff literally sent an application and a link to apply for a job that gets them the GTV like this, and then the person was telling me the application was too long. Yeah. So that is why we charge for it. That is why, not why we charge for it. That is obviously what you pay for, because we now go through the painstaking process to, help you position, apply all these details. We anchor it and all of those things. For example, for at that particular level of our route. And the beautiful thing about getting the GTV via this route is that this one does not just cost you, this one doesn't even cost you money upfront in a sense, especially when you are navigating the pathway yourself. It gets you a job, and based on the job, not necessarily based on the job in a sense, you now get the global talent visa. So the only time you are putting any cash injection into this is when you have gotten a job. in a sense, that is if you're navigating the pathway, obviously through our guidance that you are getting on this session. Very straightforward. And by cash injection, I mean paying for endorsement fee, paying for visa fee, and then paying the healthcare, should I say sequential, or the consequential healthcare surcharges, and all of that. So, before we go into the session of questions, I just want to talk about how GoLoko Diaries can support you, because we've come to the end of the session. This is a very straightforward session. We recognize that no two journeys are identical, and that's the truth. No two journeys are identical. That is why our support is structured across different needs. In fact, I've had situations where, I've had situations where a junior staff in a digital technology company applied for the global talent visa, got endorsed. His manager applied, got rejected. The point is, no two journeys are like the same. Actually, this session will be broadcast on YouTube. So all the exegesis might have been edited out of the way, but the replay is going to be made available. So no two journeys are identical, and that is why, whereas we're in the era of AI adoption, but the human personalized field support is necessarily what gets to the result, and not just the AI input here and there. It's the human field, the human guidance that gets to it. So our support is structured across different needs. We have our mentorship that is also slated or slashed with our eligibility criteria assessments. But like I always tell people, there is no level of engagement that you, for the global talent visa specifically, that you engage us at stage one visa endorsement support services that we run, that does not include an eligibility criteria assessment first. So all of them includes eligibility criteria assessment. However, the starter package also like eligibility criteria assessment, and that goes along with mentorship. So for individuals who need clarity, assessment, and strategic direction, you want to do it yourself, and you want curtailed guidance, you want tailored guidance, personalized to you. Normally we also do mentoring cohorts. We do mentorship cohorts, and there's going to be a mentorship cohort at the end of the year, before the end of the year, rather. But currently, we have the streamlined one-on-one mentorship sessions with me over 3 months. We are mentored over 3 months. It includes eligibility reviews, it includes profile assessments, and then my team is going to be generating an eligibility criteria assessment report that shows you exactly how you are fit for the global talent visa and your route to endorsement. Your route to endorsement is always very unique to you, just like your application. So for the global talent, it's going to come with a unique reference number and a unique application number. Same thing, your route to endorsement is always unique to you. One route to endorsement that works for someone might not work for you. All right. So for this, we do that, and then evidence planning, gap identification, application strategy, right? And then general mentoring, support, and all of that. So the mentorship fee, that one, I can make it public anytime. It costs £1,000. It costs £1,000. It's actually a criteria assessments slash mentorship, so it costs £1,000. In fact, we are looking at increasing it, because I'm the one that is mentoring you, and it's very stressful for me. Yesterday, I started mentoring sessions with mine, and it's always very draining, I can tell you, and very impactful. A lot of clarity. Some of my mentees now, I think about 2 of them have applied for the global talent. They are waiting their endorsements, and it's going to come in for sure. So so one-on-one mentorship. I currently have, one of my mentees right now is from Bangladesh. The time zone stuff is very crazy, right? So, well, thank God. So yes, we have the mentorship. That's how we can support you. One-on-one mentorship with me, the founder of GoLoko Diaries. Currently, I believe as we grow, as we progress in this industry, we would have much more, decentralized mentoring that does not necessarily involve me. So when you now involve, we probably will not be charging 5,000, we'll not be charging £5,000 for that. But that's just on the side. So anyways, so we also have everyday endorsement application support. So endorsement application support is for people, generally for people who are trying to get the endorsement. So all you need to get the endorsement will do for you, right? Putting your documents together and all of those things. But usually for those that are going via academic and research job route, the service that is needed for you to really consider is the priority visa relocation support service, because it's a full package, right? So we'll help you work on your job applications to get the academic job. That's if you don't currently have a job, have an academic job. But if you add an academic job, what we just do for you is endorsement application support, whatever support you need to properly put together your application evidence, like I have also already shared here on this call, on this session. We'll do that for you. So we also have priority visa relocation support. This one, we help you work on the job application, and then obviously whether or not it is academic route you're going, even if it is digital technology route, we also work on job application after endorsement. But for those that are going by academic route, we mostly get to a job first before we proceed. And in fact, the PVRS, the PVRS is more like our, should I say, not necessarily bestseller, but it's going to be a bestseller, right? It is more like our recommended service. Why? Because the PVRS gives us the autonomy to control your GTV endorsements reality. Because with the PVRS, we are able to apply jobs for you that are fitting your CV and your professional background, right? And like I said, the global talent visa, the goal is getting the global talent visa, especially when you're looking to relocate. That's the goal, right? So it is not necessarily about, oh, you got it as a tech person. However you get it, you have all the perks. So you can still continue your work, you can still continue your work in the sector, you can still continue your work in tech innovation, you can still. So the PVRS gives us full autonomy to get you the result, and that's why we call it priority visa relocation support service. This one is our end-to-end support service for those who require deeper partnership through the application journey. So if you want to get further details on how to engage us at any of this level, you can you can reach out to sales@golokodaris.com. We'll send you, a breakdown of how we can work, and then the code for that, and you get an invoice on which one you want to go for, right? So I've just put that, and I'm pinning that in the comment section. Yeah. So, or you can also connect with us on LinkedIn to request a quote for that, and all of that. Whether connect to me personally on LinkedIn or connect to GoLoko. In fact, I'll prefer you connect to GoLoko on LinkedIn so that my team can handle you properly, because I have quite a lot of messages coming in my LinkedIn. All right. So then you request a quote, tell us your story, then we'll help you determine whether global talent fits your profile, and if it does, how to strategically position yourself, personally. So now, final remarks. I will leave you with this. Migration is not about escaping. It is about expanding. The goal isn't simply to leave. The goal is to thrive. Prepare yourself for the systems you desire. Build evidence of your value. Understand the opportunities available, because greener pastures favor prepared people. Thank you. It's a time for us to ask questions. Do you have questions? If you have questions, you can raise your hands on this call. If you have questions, you can raise your hands on this call so that we can take your questions right about now. Questions and answer session 4. If you have questions, can you raise your hand so I can address your questions? So like I said, while we're waiting for those who would have questions, if you can go ahead and type your question also in the chat box, the chat section. So like I said, you want to work with GoLoko Diaries, whether to get information concerning the mentorship, how to join the mentorship at £1,000, or you want to get us to, partner with you to get the endorsement, or on our full visa, priority visa relocation support service, you can reach out sales@GoLokoDiaries.com to get a quote, or chat us up on LinkedIn. So I'll wait 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, and then for questions. So do you have questions? If you have questions, you can type it in the comment section and let us know that. Yeah. So someone may be asking that, how do I know if I qualify? How do you know if you qualify? Number one, there's a global talent visa for everyone. If you have had, how you can know if you qualify is simple. You go to gov.uk/global-talent. Read up the requirements. Across the routes. You'll be able to sense in your head, in a sense, okay, oh, I think I have this, I think I have this, I think I have this. So that is what we call pre-qualification, because everybody we even work with, we want to make sure that they have pre-qualified themselves. So the usual case is that you are not able to now determine how exactly, especially the documentation, because sometimes the requirement may not be clear enough for you to understand what documentation you need to submit. It's not just submitting your CV, it's not just gathering pictures. I've seen worse, documentation. Somebody just put together media files from maybe an event that they did. No titling, no labeling, no structuring, just put it together in a white paper and submit. No, that will get rejected. So the pre-qualification is that, okay, I think I spoke at an event that is relating to this, and for people in academia, okay, I think, especially for academic job, the qualification for an academic job, for the academic job route or research job route, is, do you have a job in academia, or do you have a job in research? If you don't have a job in research, can you get a job in academia, or can you get a job in research? That's the pre-qualification you need to do. Again, the pre-qualification for you as someone who wants to get over the academic job route is to ask, can I perform as a lecturer, or can I perform as a lead of a research project? And this is irrespective of if you have performed in this capacity before. It is about your own personal pre-qualification of what you can do or cannot do. So if you feel you cannot perform, obviously, I take a bow out. They said the foundation be destroyed. What shall the righteous do? If you have unqualified yourself, what can GoLoko Diaries do? Nothing, literally. But if you have that faith in yourself that, okay, I think I can be able to perform based, after I graduated from the university 7 years ago, I've had so and so done, this and this done. Probably you've done your master's, and then while doing your master's, probably you are even like a tutor to some of your colleagues. You can obviously perform in a teaching position. Obviously perform in a teaching position. So, can I apply without publications for academic jobs? Yes. You don't need to have publications to apply. But should you make publications? Yes. GoLoko Diaries can help you with publications. Yeah. Do you need a PhD? Do I need a PhD? No, you don't need a PhD to get an academic job role in the United Kingdom. But you definitely need to have maybe an equivalent research experience. And then an equivalent research experience is also equivalent to actual business and career experience. So it is not necessarily just research. What if I'm not, in academia? This is not a one-size-fits. I think this is actually a one-size-fits-all. The global talent is actually a one-size-fits-all in a sense. So the idea of academia or getting an academic job is not necessarily based on you having a strong background in academia, really. It is you being able to demonstrate that you can lead an academic role that involves you in curriculum design, which means you can lecture people and you can lead people and you can pass knowledge from a textbook. I don't want to just land like that. So people, how much evidence is enough? Like we told you, the academic or job route of the UK just requires two major evidence from you. You don't need a recommendation letter, actually. Though you need a recommendation letter, a reference when you want to get the job. And that means, and I was telling some of my team members today, client service representatives, so I was coaching them on something and letting them realize that global talent visa is not a visa for Japan. It's not designed for Japan. It's not a visa designed for Japan. It is a visa designed to, is a visa designed to have you engage everybody. Everybody will know about it, but at least people that really matter will know that you are working on it. You tell your lecturer, so you have to have good relationship. You tell your boss, you have to have good relationship so that you can get references. Do you get? So, but for the academia and job research, you don't necessarily need recommendation like that. The only time you need reference and all of those extra stuff is when we are trying to get the job, right? So as long as you get the job, the route to GTV is very, very direct, very, very direct, very, very straightforward. Just get your HR letter and then the job description. You're good to go, bro. How long does the process take? So, for example, now, for people who do not have a job, the process can take is how long you apply intentionally for job until you get a job. Then once you get the job, the process is seamless. You've seen that already. The process is seamless. You apply within 1 week of your application. So we gathering your application documents, which is your job description. You always have the job description before you even apply for the job. So you could just have noted that down somewhere. You can document that in the drive. So once you now get the job offer, is to now get your HR to send you an HR letter to that effect. So the time to get HR letter might take a while, depending on the engagement between you and the HR, right? So, but usually, as an immigrant relocating to the UK, they would want to, for academic job position, they want to support your visa process. So they would be willing and ready to really give you up to time to come and be able to meet up the requirement of assumption at the office at your position. So, but what you just need to get is your HR letter stating the fact that the job was advertised, stating the fact that the role requires like a PhD or research or relevant, experience, in research or business or career, right? And the likes of it. So yeah. So, but when you already have a job, right? Like I said, once you get that, that can be in under maybe 1 week to 1 month average, you can be able to get your HR letter. So once you get your HR letter and you are ready to apply, once you apply, 1 week after, you're getting your decision because it's a fast track route, right? So, but in terms of, if I now talk in terms of our service, the PVRS service that also covers, that can cover both the job and the endorsement process, application support process, we say 6 months average. So because my team will go all in for 6 months to get you a job. That's if you don't have a job. But if you already have a job, you don't necessarily need to do PVRS except you are trying to look for another job because your job already, and that is okay. So if you already have a job, the first thing is to know if your job qualifies for the visa, for the visa requirements, or the endorsement requirement on this route, not visa requirement, the endorsement requirement for this route. So, and that is the process. So, to estimate that, usually because of the way our service is currently streamlined, we're trying to shorten it to about 1 week, but currently it takes about 3 weeks to 1 month to help you go deep dive review and then get information on whether whether what you currently have is qualified, right? So because that is more like an assessment of your eligibility for the academic route. So then, can I switch from another visa route? Yes, you can switch from some certain visa route. And the summary is that any visa route that is less than 14 months, you cannot switch from that visa route. You are always like expected to go back to your own country and apply from your own country. But if you're in the UK on the student visa route, on the skilled worker visa, on the care worker visa, you can switch to the global talent visa. Our guest from that to endorsement episode 8 is switched from skilled worker visa after spending about 2 years, 6 months of the visa to the global talent visa. And in about 1 month after he successfully switched, he was able to get his permanent residency in the United Kingdom. He became a permanent resident of the United Kingdom. So you cannot switch from a child of a parent, child of a student visa. You cannot switch from a parent of a child student visa. You can't switch from all those visas. You can't switch from a temporary visa to, you can't switch from a visit visa. You have to apply from outside of the UK. Yeah. So what are common mistakes applicants make? What are common mistakes applicants make? So the major common mistake applicants make is just not understanding what it entails. So like there's a situation right now that I'm having to sit on, or we are having to sit on at GoLoko as well. Someone who is like, though not categorically for the academic route, but we have situations like that too similar in the academic route. And I'll give a scenario too. So we have somebody like from the particular sector, he has all that it takes to get it in that sector, to get endorsed in that particular field, in that particular sector. And then, he just put together his evidence. He didn't get guidance. He just put it together. He just felt like, it's big for this now. This thing is too small, it's qualified. And he applied. He even currently has like about 30K followers on LinkedIn. He got rejected. He appealed the rejection. He got rejected. The rejection got rejected. How will I call it? The appeal got rejected again. So, and the major thing is that positioning, because I think I saw the performance is positioning. Positioning is, and they're not just positioning, but when you get guidance, you are able, especially from experts like GoLoko Diaries, like ourselves, you are able, and like myself, you are able to put together your evidence correctly, you are able to apply correctly. Another common mistake that people make is that they do not know that once you pay, they go ahead to pay for application and they are not ready to apply. Once you make the payment for application, you have a 15 days window to apply. If you miss out on this 15 days window, your application is going to be annulled. And most of the time, you are not able to be refunded. So you have to be careful on that. Which GoLoko Diaries service suits me best for this academic or job route? So it depends on where you are right now. If you are currently an immigrant in the UK that is on an academic job, I would advise you probably take the endorsement application support service that we offer, or the mentorship, which comes with eligibility criteria assessments. So that way we are able to review if your job is qualified, right? So, but if you are not in the UK, or even if you're in the UK, but not with the academic or research job, and you want to navigate this academic or research route, what I would recommend is definitely the priority visa relocation support service. It can also be considered like priority, switching service in a sense. So it will handle not just the endorsement application support, it will handle the job aspect, which is the trigger, getting you an academic job. So first of all, sort out the academic job, and then eventually also support you with getting the endorsement after you've gotten the job. So it goes that way. So it depends on the current state you are in. But generally, for everyone that wants to maybe especially having a low entry, the best, the lowest entry route for you to start kickstart, which also gives you sufficient clarity, personalized to you, is to take the eligibility criteria assessment that comes along with the mentorship with me. So, and then obviously I can only handle like 10 people in a month, and I currently have about 2 people I'm handling for this month already. So definitely that one does not that one is not as exhaustive. I mean, possibly in the number of people that get on, but you can be onboarded for like next month or per month, and like so we'll just schedule in advance, all right? But I only am able to handle 10 people monthly, comfortably. But generally, for the other services, my team and I are, ready to support you as much people as possible, to really navigate the route. So yeah, that brings us to the end of the session. Since there are no longer questions, I would like to confirm if there are any questions again. If you have any questions concerning this route, you can raise up your hand now or forever remain silent. To be very honest with you, beyond, honestly, beyond maybe our services and what we can be able to do to support you, this has given you clarity of what exactly you need to do. Go and get a job in academia or research. And then based on that job, get your HR letter, get the job description, go and apply for your global talent. And you're good to go. Thank you very, very much for joining the session. I wish you the very, very best. God has blessed you.